Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, why is it that some people seem to live extraordinary lives, while the rest of us are trapped in routines that barely feel alive? Think about it. Every day you wake up, go through the motions, and at the end of the week, the calendar flips and somehow nothing has changed. You feel stuck, frustrated, even hopeless at times, yet deep down you know you were meant for more. The truth is, no one will hand you the life you want. You have to seize it, shape it, and claim it for yourself. But here's the kicker: most people never even try. They wait for motivation to strike, for luck to knock, for someone else to approve their dreams. And while they wait, life passes them by. Imagine standing in the middle of a room and everyone around you is moving forward, chasing bigger opportunities, living bolder lives, while you remain frozen, watching opportunities slip through your fingers. That's not just disappointing. It's painful. It's the slow erosion of potential. Every unclaimed opportunity, every hesitation, every moment spent doubting yourself compounds. By the time you realize what's happening, years have passed, and the life you imagine feels like a distant memory. You ask yourself, where did the time go? And the honest answer is, you let it go. But here's the secret. The difference between those who thrive and those who merely exist is not luck, talent, or circumstance. It's the choices they make every single day. It's the small, deliberate actions taken consistently that build a life worth living. And the moment you decide to take control, really take control, the world stops being a place where you are acted upon and starts being a place where you act. You become the author of your story. This isn't about vague self-help slogans or temporary bursts of inspiration. This is about fundamental transformation. It's about rewriting your patterns, challenging the beliefs that have held you back, and stepping into a version of yourself that doesn't just survive, but thrives. And the first step, awareness. You must see the truth of your current life with brutal clarity, confront it without excuses, and commit to something radically different. In the next few minutes, you will discover 8 powerful actions that, when applied deliberately in 2026, will transform every aspect of your life, not eventually, not maybe, but for real. These are not ideas to think about. They are strategies to live by, habits to embody, and perspectives to adopt that will redefine who you are and what you are capable of. By the end of this, you won't just know what to do, you will feel compelled to act. And once you do, nothing will ever be the same again. The first thing you must do if you want to transform your life in 2026 is to take radical ownership of your decisions. Most people drift through life blaming circumstances, other people, or bad luck for where they are. But the truth is, you are the only constant in your story. Everything that has ever happened to you, good or bad, is filtered through your choices. And the moment you stop playing the victim and start owning your life, everything changes. Think about someone you admire, someone who seems to have it all together. Behind their success isn't luck. It's the repeated choice to face reality, make hard decisions, and refuse to give up. They make mistakes, yes. They fail, absolutely. But they own those failures, learn from them, and move forward stronger. Contrast that with the person who spends their days blaming circumstances, waiting for the perfect opportunity, or hoping someone else will rescue them. There's a reason their life feels stagnant. They've surrendered control. Let me tell you a story. Imagine a young professional fresh out of college, full of dreams, walking into a corporate job. At first, everything is exciting, everything seems possible. But then obstacles appear: a manager who doesn't support them, coworkers who undermine them, projects that fail. Most people quit here. They blame the system, blame their environment, blame themselves. But what if instead they made a choice? What if they said, I may not control my environment, but I control how I respond. I may not have perfect conditions, but I can create progress regardless. That choice, the decision to own responsibility, is the difference between a life of excuses and a life of impact. Taking radical ownership doesn't mean you ignore challenges. It doesn't mean you pretend life is fair. It means you stop wasting energy complaining and start focusing on the one thing you can control: your actions. Every skill you develop, every connection you make, every goal you chase, all of it begins with ownership. The moment you accept that your life is yours and yours alone to shape, fear loses its grip. Doubt becomes fuel instead of a barrier, and the impossible starts to feel possible. So here's your challenge for today. Identify one area of your life where you've been deflecting responsibility. Stop blaming others, stop rationalizing why you can't, and take complete ownership. Write down your commitments, act on them. Even a single decision to own your life starts a ripple effect that transforms everything. Your mindset, your opportunities, your relationships, and ultimately your destiny. Ownership is the first step, and once you take it, you begin walking the path that separates ordinary from extraordinary. The second thing you must do to transform your life in 2026 is to gain absolute clarity on your purpose. Most people wander through life reacting to circumstances instead of living intentionally. They chase trends, follow other people's expectations, or measure success by what society values rather than what truly ignites their passion. But the problem is simple: without clarity, energy is wasted, time is lost, and potential is buried. Purpose is not just a vague idea. It's a compass. It tells you where to invest your energy, which risks to take, and which paths to ignore. Imagine standing in a dark forest without a map. You move, but each step is uncertain. You may stumble upon something valuable, or you may wander aimlessly for years. That's what life is like without purpose. Now imagine lighting a torch and seeing the path clearly. Every choice becomes easier. Every challenge feels surmountable. Every setback becomes temporary because you know exactly where you are heading. That torches your purpose. It guides your actions, focuses your energy, and aligns your decisions with what truly matters. Let me tell you a story. There was a young woman who felt frustrated and unfulfilled in her corporate career. Every day felt like a grind, and every night she went home exhausted and empty. She tried to distract herself with hobbies, friends, and social media, but nothing filled the void. Then one day she paused and asked herself a single question. If money, fear, and expectations were no obstacle, what would I devote my life to? The answer hit her hard. She wanted to help others communicate their stories, help people share what mattered most to them. That clarity didn't magically solve all her problems, but it transformed how she approached life. Every decision became aligned with her purpose. She stopped wasting time on meaningless tasks and started pursuing what mattered. And the results, incredible. She not only excelled professionally, but also felt fulfilled every single day. Clarity of purpose does more than guide, it empowers. When you know what you stand for, distractions lose their grip. Criticism doesn't derail you. Fear becomes a signal, not a barrier. And importantly, purpose attracts opportunity. The world responds to those who know what they want. People are drawn to vision, to confidence, to focus. Without purpose, even the most talented person can drift. With purpose, even the humblest effort compounds into extraordinary results. Your action today is simple: carve out quiet time, remove distractions, and write down your purpose in one clear sentence. Not vague, not wishful, specific, personal, honest. This sentence becomes your compass for 2026. Everything else is noise. Purpose gives life meaning, focus, and unstoppable momentum. Once you have it, you'll move differently, and you'll act differently, and your results will reflect the clarity you now hold. The third thing you must do to transform your life in 2026 is to build habits that compound. Most people underestimate the power of small actions repeated consistently. They think transformation comes from dramatic changes, sudden breakthroughs, or big leaps, but that's rarely how life works. True transformation is quiet. It's the repeated choices you make day after day, the small decisions no one notices that create extraordinary outcomes over time. Think about it like planting a seed. You don't plant it and expect a massive tree the next day. You water it consistently, nurture it, and give it sunlight. At first, progress seems invisible. You may even doubt if anything is happening. But over months and years, the tiny actions compound, and suddenly a strong, thriving tree stands before you. Habits are your seeds. They may seem insignificant in the moment, but when repeated consistently, they create unstoppable growth. Let me tell you a story. A man decided to start reading just 20 pages a day. At first, it felt insignificant. 20 pages is barely noticeable. Some days he skipped. Some days he felt too tired. But he committed. Over the course of a year, he had read dozens of books, gained knowledge most people wouldn't in a decade, and developed insights that transformed his career and relationships. That small, consistent action, just 20 pages a day, compounded into mastery, confidence, and influence. This is the principle of compounding habits. Tiny, simple actions repeated relentlessly produce extraordinary results. But here's the catch. Most people fail because they don't design their habits intentionally. They rely on willpower, motivation, or inspiration, which are unreliable. To succeed, you must design your environment, remove friction, and create a system where the right actions are easy, automatic, and inevitable. That means arranging your day so productive habits happen naturally, removing distractions, and building routines that reinforce your goals. When your environment supports your habits, you no longer rely on fleeting motivation. You rely on systems that drive results. Your task today is to identify one small, meaningful habit that aligns with your 2026 goals. Make it non-negotiable. Make it daily. Start small but be consistent. The moment you commit to repetition, your life begins to change in ways you cannot yet see. Compound interest doesn't wait, and neither does success. Every action you take, no matter how small, either builds the life you want or strengthens the life you don't. Choose wisely. Habits are the engine of transformation, and once they start compounding, they create unstoppable momentum. The fourth thing you must do to transform your life in 2026 is to embrace discomfort. Most people spend their lives avoiding it. They stay in their comfort zones, chasing ease, safety, and approval. But comfort is a silent killer. It keeps you small, it dulls your potential. Every moment you choose comfort over growth, fear quietly tightens its grip, and your life slowly becomes a reflection of what is safe, not what is possible. Think about it. The moments that define greatness, the experiences that change your life, almost always start with discomfort. Asking hard questions, taking bold risks, speaking when your voice shakes, trying when failure feels inevitable. These are uncomfortable. But discomfort is not the enemy, it is the gateway. Every time you step into it, you prove to yourself that fear does not control you. You build courage, resilience, and confidence, the foundation for a life of impact. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man who dreamed of public speaking but was terrified of judgment. Every time he considered speaking in front of others, his hands shook, his heart raced, and doubt paralyzed him. One day, he made a choice: he would speak anyway, starting with a small room of strangers who had nothing to do with him personally. The first speech was awkward. He stumbled over words, felt exposed, wanted to run. But he showed up again and again. Every uncomfortable moment became a stepping stone. Over time, he became confident, persuasive, and eventually spoke to thousands. That transformation happened not because fear disappeared, it never did, but because he refused to let discomfort stop him. Discomfort teaches more than comfort ever will. It reveals your strengths, exposes weaknesses, and forces growth. When you embrace it, fear loses its power. You realize that rejection, failure, and criticism are not punishments. They are feedback signals and opportunities. The moment you stop avoiding discomfort, life begins to expand. Opportunities you never imagined appear because you are no longer held back by hesitation, doubt, or fear. Your challenge today is to identify one area where fear has been your anchor and step into discomfort. Speak, act, or move in a way that feels slightly terrifying but necessary for growth. It may feel awkward or painful, but that is exactly where transformation lies. 2026 is the year you stop hiding behind safety and start embracing the experiences that will define your life. Discomfort is the price of growth, and the payoff is a life that truly matters. The fifth thing you must do to transform your life in 2026 is to master focus and eliminate distractions. Most people think they're busy, but being busy is not the same as being productive. Scrolling endlessly, answering notifications, multitasking endlessly, these things steal your time, energy, and clarity. And here's the harsh truth: every distraction is a choice. Every moment spent scattered is a moment your future self will wish you had invested differently. Focus is not just about working harder, it's about directing your energy toward what truly matters. It's the ability to say no to countless small, meaningless temptations in order to say yes to the few things that will define your life. Without focus, even the most talented person drifts, spinning their wheels but never moving forward. With focus, ordinary effort multiplies and results accelerate. Focus is the difference between mediocrity and mastery. Let me tell you a story. A young entrepreneur had big ideas, huge potential, but his days were scattered. Social media notifications, emails, meetings that added no value. At the end of each week, he felt exhausted but unaccomplished. Then he made a radical choice. He eliminated all non-essential distractions and created a single daily routine of deep, uninterrupted work. The first day was uncomfortable. His mind resisted. But as days turned into weeks, the results were astonishing. Projects that once took months were completed in weeks. Ideas that were just thoughts became reality. His focus didn't just create productivity, it created momentum that carried him past competitors who worked harder but scattered. Focus also means protecting your mind and your energy. Every decision you make to consume, respond, or engage is a vote for what your life will look like. If you are constantly pulled by external noise, you surrender control. But when you intentionally design your environment, set boundaries, and prioritize what truly moves the needle, your life begins to shift. The power of focus compounds, just like habits. Every hour spent concentrated on your purpose multiplies into extraordinary results over time. Your action today is clear. Identify one major distraction that consumes your attention without giving you results. Eliminate it, block it, or schedule it out of your life. Create at least one deep work block where nothing interrupts your purpose. Protect your focus like it is gold, because it is. The ability to concentrate relentlessly on what matters most will determine the speed of your transformation. 2026 is not about being busy, it's about being precise, deliberate, and unstoppable. Master your focus, and the life you want begins to take shape. The sixth thing you must do to transform your life in 2026 is to build meaningful relationships that elevate you. Most people underestimate the impact of the company they keep. They settle for shallow connections, casual friendships, or people who drain energy rather than inspire it. But here's the truth: your relationships define your mindset, your habits, and ultimately, your trajectory in life. If you want to rise, you must surround yourself with people who challenge, motivate, and lift you higher. Think about it. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Every conversation, every interaction, every shared experience subtly shapes your beliefs, your confidence, and your behavior. Spend your time with people who are negative, stagnant, or doubtful, and you will mirror their limitations. Spend your time with people who are ambitious, disciplined, and visionary, and you will find your own potential expanding. Relationships are the invisible engine behind every extraordinary life. Let me tell you a story. A young professional struggled to break into a competitive industry. He worked hard but found himself hitting walls constantly. Then he intentionally sought out mentors, peers, and communities that embodied the skills, mindset, and success he desired. Within months, his knowledge, confidence, and opportunities skyrocketed. Each relationship acted like a mirror and a multiplier, reflecting what was possible and pushing him to stretch further. His growth was no longer limited by what he could do alone. It was amplified by those around him. Meaningful relationships are not just about networking, they are about alignment and reciprocity. Seek people who share your values and inspire your growth. Offer value, support, and loyalty in return. When you invest deeply in the right relationships, doors open, perspectives expand, and opportunities appear in ways you could never create on your own. Avoid toxic connections that drain your energy or reinforce mediocrity. These relationships will slow you down more than any obstacle or fear ever could. Your task today is to evaluate the people closest to you. Ask yourself, who inspires me, who challenges me, who makes me want to be better. Commit to spending more time with those who elevate you and less with those who don't. Strengthen relationships that matter and let go of those that hold you back. In 2026, the company you keep will either propel you forward or anchor you to the past. Choose wisely. Surround yourself with growth and watch your life transform faster than you ever imagined. The seventh thing you must do to transform your life in 2026 is to take bold, decisive action consistently. Most people wait. They wait for the right timing, the perfect conditions. the sign that everything is aligned. But here's the truth: life rarely waits. Opportunity favors the bold, not the hesitant. Waiting is an invisible trap. It creates a false sense of safety while your potential slowly fades. Action is the antidote to doubt, fear, and stagnation. Think about it: the most successful people you admire didn't wait for the world to hand them a path. They acted, often imperfectly, often without guarantee of success. Each bold step, small or large, built momentum, opened doors, and created possibilities that would never have existed otherwise. Action transforms intention into reality. Without it, even the clearest vision, the strongest purpose, and the boldest ideas remain invisible, trapped inside your mind. Let me tell you a story. A woman had a vision for a business she believed could change lives, but she kept delaying. She feared failure, criticism, and uncertainty. Then one day, she decided to act even without everything in place. She launched with a simple version of her idea, facing countless obstacles, criticism, and setbacks. Every day she acted, learned, and iterated. Within a year, her boldness had created an impact far beyond what she had imagined. The lesson was clear: action trumps perfection every time. Waiting only guarantees inaction and regret. Bold action also compounds over time. Each choice to act strengthens confidence, sharpens skills, and expands your capacity to take the next step. Conversely, hesitation erodes courage, multiplies fear, and keeps you trapped in cycles of what if. Consistency matters just as much as courage. It's not about a single grand gesture. It's about repeatedly stepping forward, even when it's uncomfortable, uncertain, or intimidating. That is how ordinary lives become extraordinary. Your challenge today is to identify one bold action you've been postponing, something that scares you but moves you toward your purpose, and take it immediately. Don't wait for perfect clarity. Don't wait for approval. Act. The first step may be imperfect, but it sets a chain reaction into motion. 2026, the year you stop waiting for life to happen to you and start making life happen for you. Bold action is the bridge between where you are and where you are meant to be. The eighth and final thing you must do to transform your life in 2026 is to reflect daily and adapt relentlessly. Most people move through life on autopilot. They repeat routines, make the same mistakes, and hope for different results. But without reflection, you never learn. Without adaptation, you never grow. Reflection is the mirror that reveals your patterns, your blind spots, and your progress. Adaptation is the engine that turns that insight into action. Together, they create unstoppable momentum. Think about a sailor navigating the open sea. They do not set a course and blindly drift. They constantly check the wind, the currents, and the stars. They adjust their sails, change direction when needed, and respond to conditions they cannot control. Life is the same. Circumstances, people, and challenges will always change. The only way to move forward consistently is to observe honestly, adjust strategically, and never stop improving. Without this, even the most ambitious goals remain out of reach. Let me tell you a story. A man launched a personal growth journey, determined to improve his health, career, and relationships. At first, he made progress, but he also stumbled. Some strategies didn't work, some habits faltered, and some relationships tested him. Rather than giving up, he committed to daily reflection, journaling what went right, what went wrong, and what could be improved. Each day, he adjusted, tweaking his routines, rethinking his approaches, and learning from mistakes. Within months, his growth accelerated exponentially. Reflection allowed him to see what was invisible. Adaptation allowed him to act on it. Together, they created transformation he never thought possible. Reflection also fuels gratitude and clarity. When you pause to assess your day, you see progress you might otherwise overlook. You gain insight into your strengths, your weaknesses, and the opportunities ahead. Adaptation assures that insight isn't wasted. It becomes a tool for improvement. Without reflection, you repeat mistakes. Without adaptation, knowledge has no power. When done consistently, these practices turn ordinary days into extraordinary momentum, building a life that evolves and grows with every choice. Your challenge today is simple but powerful. Spend 10 minutes at the end of each day reflecting on what worked, what didn't, and how you can improve tomorrow. Write it down. Take action on the insights. Make this non-negotiable. 2026 is your year to act intentionally, learn consistently, and adapt relentlessly. By mastering reflection and adaptation, you ensure that every day compounds into progress, every challenge becomes a lesson, and every step moves you closer to the life you are destined to create. Now that you understand the 8 transformative actions for 2026, it's time to see the bigger picture. Transformation is not about a single strategy, a sudden breakthrough, or one moment of inspiration. It's about alignment, aligning your choices, your habits, your focus, and your relationships with the person you want to become. Every action we've discussed, from taking radical ownership to reflecting daily, is a thread. Alone, each is powerful. Together, they weave a life that is unstoppable, meaningful, and extraordinary. Think about a life without ownership as drift. A life without purpose is directionless. A life without habits is wasted effort. A life without discomfort is untested. A life without focus is scattered. A life without uplifting relationships is lonely. A life without bold action is stagnant. A life without reflection is blind. Individually, each element changes something, but collectively, they transform everything. When you integrate all 8, you create a life that moves with momentum, resilience, and purpose. Let me tell you a story. Imagine a person who applies these principles consistently. They wake each day with clarity of purpose. They take ownership of their choices. They cultivate habits that compound. They embrace challenges. They focus relentlessly. They surround themselves with people who elevate them. They act boldly, and they reflect and adapt daily. Months later, Opportunities appear that once seemed impossible, their confidence soars, their impact grows, their life no longer feels like a routine. It feels alive, intentional, and extraordinary. That person is not lucky. That person is deliberate. That person is committed. That person is you if you decide it. The moment you commit to these 8 actions, you step into a different rhythm. Fear becomes a signal, not a stop sign. Discomfort becomes fuel. Distractions fade. Relationships lift you instead of weighing you down. Each day compounds into progress, and every choice moves you closer to the life you once only dreamed about. Nothing in the world can stop someone who consistently applies these principles with courage, focus, and intentionality. So here's the challenge: do not wait. Start now. Take radical ownership. Clarify your purpose. Build habits that compound. Step into discomfort. Master your focus. Surround yourself with the right people. Take bold action. Reflect daily. Every action matters. Every day matters. 2026 is not just another year. It is your opportunity to become the person you are meant to be. Transform your life, step in your power, and live a year so extraordinary that you look back and realize nothing will ever be the same again.